In a remote village nestled between dense forests and rolling hills, there stood an ancient, abandoned house known as Noor's Hollow. The villagers whispered dark tales about the house, speaking in hushed tones about how infants had disappeared mysteriously from their cradles, never to be seen again. The legend spoke of a vengeful Jinn who roamed the night, stealing newborns and leaving behind eerie laughter that sent chills down the spines of those who dared to listen. It all began when Rahim, a young father, moved into the village with his wife, Amina, and their newborn son, Yusuf. They had heard the rumors about Noor's Hollow but dismissed them as mere superstition. The villagers warned them repeatedly, urging them to keep their baby safe and to never leave their doors unlocked after sunset. One fateful evening, as the wind howled like a chorus of lost souls, Amina awoke to the sound of soft whispers echoing through their home. At first, she thought it was Rahim mumbling in his sleep, but when she turned, she saw him lying motionless beside her. The whispers grew louder, forming incomprehensible words, almost like a chant. Her heart pounded as she reached for Yusuf's cradle, only to find it empty. Panic surged through her veins as she screamed, waking Rahim. They frantically searched the house, calling out Yusuf's name, but the baby was nowhere to be found. The door, which they had locked securely before sleeping, was slightly ajar, creaking as if someone, or something, had just slipped out. Rahim grabbed a lantern and ran into the night, his voice breaking as he shouted for his son. Amina, clutching her shawl tightly around her, followed him with tears streaming down her face. The village seemed unnaturally silent, as though it, too, was holding its breath in fear. An old woman, hunched and frail, stood by the village well, watching them with sorrowful eyes. "The Jinn has taken him," she whispered. "It seeks the innocent. Noor's Hollow, that is where you must go." Without hesitation, Rahim and Amina ran towards the abandoned house at the edge of the village. The moment they stepped onto the overgrown path leading to it, an icy wind swept through the trees, carrying with it a high-pitched, ghastly giggle. The house loomed before them, its windows like hollow, soulless eyes staring back at them. The door creaked open on its own, inviting them in. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of decay. Candles flickered in the distance, casting eerie shadows that danced on the mold-covered walls. Amina stifled a scream as she saw tiny footprints, wet and glistening, leading up the staircase. With trembling hands, Rahim followed the footprints, the wooden steps creaking under his weight. Each step felt like a descent into madness. When they reached the attic, they found an old wooden crib, rocking gently on its own. Inside it lay not their child, but a bundle of rags. Suddenly, a deep, guttural voice whispered, "He is ours now." Amina turned to see a dark figure, its limbs twisted and elongated, emerging from the shadows. Its glowing red eyes pierced through the darkness, locking onto her with an unnatural hunger. The creature smiled, revealing sharp, jagged teeth, and from its long, bony fingers dangled a tiny bracelet, Yusuf's bracelet. Rahim lunged at the creature, but the moment he did, it vanished into thin air, leaving behind only a cold, echoing laughter. Desperate, they searched every corner of the house, but Yusuf was nowhere to be found. Then, Amina noticed something on the wall, a series of crude, childlike drawings scratched into the wood. They depicted tiny figures being taken away by a towering, shadowy form. In one of the drawings, a baby was being carried into a dark, swirling vortex. Realization dawned on them. The Jinn didn't just steal children, it took them to another realm, a place where human souls could never return. As the first rays of dawn crept into the sky, the house shuddered violently. A deafening wail echoed through the walls, and the door slammed shut behind them. No one knows how Rahim and Amina escaped that cursed house, but when they returned to the village, their hair had turned stark white. They never spoke of what they saw inside Noor's Hollow. To this day, the house stands abandoned, shrouded in darkness, its doors creaking open on moonless nights. And sometimes, if you listen closely, you can still hear the soft cries of infants, calling for help from beyond.